Might as well start the meeting, I guess, right?
Sure.
Start talking. Karen, you coming in? All right. I'd like to call this work session meeting to order.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. All right. So first thing you're going to talk about is the Bartlett one, right, with the cops.
That was the sheet that he submitted. I think what she's saying, it
Oh.
sounds like Carl
Needs a
doesn't
number.
know his bottom number.
Yeah.
Well, because yeah.
You provided us with this
Right,
comparison
and so based on that,
and his letter.
and his letter, he needs to know what you guys, feel comfortable approving, I think, to put in for, I mean, unless he just puts in what he gave to you guys at the work session, and then you guys talk about it next Wednesday at the budget hearing.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Okay,
All right. And we'll leave it as he modeled it.
Yeah.
And then if we want to make any
Alternative.
adjustments, we can do it when
Okay.
we get to the final meeting session.
okay,
We do have time to do that. My thought on that just was, I like the idea of a two-step approach, or maybe even a three-step approach. Say, hey, yeah, we'd like to get you up to these numbers,
yeah,
but I can't do it in 1 year.
right,
I can do it incrementally for the next 2 or 3 years, assuming the next board does the same thing. But to throw that much of a jump, I don't know, was it 50,000, 58,000 was it total?
I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a pretty
You
big
see
number.
the numbers I've been working with, you want me to?
The other thing is, I
You
would
can't call
also
that.
mention, and this is what we talked about, is this says this is the number, but the total cost us is much more than that.
Oh, yeah.
So even though, the town may agree to that total cost, it's still a different amount of money that you're gonna pay out every year,
Right.
so.
And the other thing too, I just happened to notice, I mean, these are all, local departments, which is what we wanted, but, we didn't have Gorham, Berlin, Littleton, nothing north. See what they had for numbers, because, just to kind of get some balance in there.
Littleton,
Berlin.
okay.
And again, I don't know whether, also the other thing I was thinking about is, I don't know whether these departments are the same size.
Okay.
I assume that, Madison's about the same size as,
Yeah.
how many people in Madison do you?
I don't know. the
Used to be
population.
2. I don't know if they call the sheriff
Double
now.
now.
I don't know if they call the sheriff now or not.
Yeah,
really
I
don't
know, there's a part-time guy there, I mean,
Yeah.
so that's, again, that throws out, but that was just my thought on that.
Okay.
Okay, so this, going to our budget, basically, I'll go through what the pages are before we look at anything to see which one you want to start with.
Okay,
The first page is just a comparison of budgets from 2010 through 2014.
correct.
Okay, so that's that one. The next page is the breakdown of wages according to overtime, FICA, health insurance, pension, total wages. The second part of that are the breakdown of the selectmen, elected official wages.
Why do you have 2 selectmen?
2 selectmen and then selectman chair. This
Oh,
was
okay, selectment chair, that's right.
Yeah, this was, yeah, so
Got it, got it, got it.
this was actually already done
Okay.
previously, so I
Right,
was
right,
just kind of
right. Gotcha.
using that.
Right.
The next page is the current year-to-date budget. And what I did was I actually highlighted the departments, or the accounts rather, that were over as
Good.
far as mine were concerned. And then I have the general ledger detail behind that to show why they were up. I didn't really see anything in particular in office expense, but I'll go back to you with that. And then the final page is just a further, it doesn't really, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about any of this in my budget work session, because it's really, other boards and other people that I'm getting information from, but I don't have all of it yet. So I guess that probably waits until Wednesday at the actual budget hearing.
Might have to.
Okay. So,
All right,
did you want to start with
start with the top
what's
there.
over in my budget and why?
Yeah,
Okay, so that would be page 3.
1, 2, 3. If you're ready to speak up. You're on camera,
I'm just
so watch
taking it
out.
all in. It's a learning process.
Okay,
I'm the
so
new guy.
I'm the new, you still loud on that one, huh?
we're really approaching that year mark.
Can't keep claiming it.
So the office expense, if you flip over from this, where that says the amount, and you flip over 2 pages, you're going to see it, I've highlighted office expense. And there was nothing really that jumped out as a large item that caused that to be over.
All right.
So.
Is there any way to break that down by, I don't want to say,
I could
not
break it down
department, but I mean staples,
by
boardwalk,
vendor,
yeah,
yes.
vendor, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Big word for me. Yeah, and that way at least we can maybe track it that way and see what kind of increases and decreases we have over the next couple of
Yeah.
years and see if we can kind of manage that.
I think that it just was, I think some of it, like there were some orders for Minuteman Press, like letterhead and 1,000 envelopes and stuff. Those aren't, we don't need to order those for some time. So I think it was just those little things that we happened to accumulate that made that
That was
up.
1,000, 1,100 over, huh?
Yep. The accounting, no.
So is there anything, sorry, is there anything we would take out of that, would you say? I mean, to bring it back down to your budget, or we're going to have to increase your budget on that item, line item?
Well, I don't think we have to, I just think we have to just pay more attention to it. I don't think there's anything really that, I mean, there's no real large item.
I know.
So, I mean, there's like this RSA title updated volumes that we were stuck with the cost of in our office supplies, but it goes out to other, I guess it's something that the
Planning board.
RSA. Yeah, so I mean, I guess
We just have to absorb it.
yeah. So I mean, there's that,
Okay, so that's one.
I mean, because that was $480 right there. So I mean, that's half of the overage.
Yeah.
But I'll break it down by vendor, we can take a peek.
You
Okay.
probably get those every year, though. I mean, I imagine.
I think, unless they just, yeah, I mean, I can see if they coded that out somewhere else last year, but. The other one is advertising, that I think because of the changes that we had, that was a little bit higher than I think it normally will be.
We make that item 0.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then the computer technology and support, it looks like in January, February, like there were $5,000 of new office computers. So, I don't know whether those were like, whether that was for the 2 of us or what that was pre-me. But, and then there's the computers support that was associated with those new computers, I believe, and that was another $850. So I think that we'll see that drop as well.
Okay.
Then the only other thing that I had highlighted.
That's almost exactly what the, no,
Overage.
yeah.
The only other thing was under general government buildings under town office.
Yeah.
The next page there was it was all the remodeling costs. And that's why that was as high.
Is
as
that
it was.
419404?
Yep. And so that kind of explains why some of the budget numbers, but as a whole, it was still under, based on wages.
So we didn't have anything budgeted for that? We just going to pull that out of the whole budget?
Again, that was, that was in January, so that was pre-me, so I'm assuming based on the fact that it was here, yes, it was just, not budgeted for. So that actually, that kind of, goes over, if you look at the total administration, we're still under because of the wages and, pension and health insurance, those were all way under this year, so. So even with those items that were over, we were still under.
Where's the grand total?
That's what I was looking for.
Well, the grand total of the financial administration side was
108.
budgeted
108?
was 186, spent was 155, down by 30,000. Well, I'm just looking right here, under total financial administration. This is,
Page 2?
nope, the first page.
First page.
First page, financial administration.
Okay, right here. All right, okay. So that's your total your budget.
Yeah.
So you're still under, that's good. What one were we really on? Oh, insurance. Insurance was the big one, huh?
Yeah, that was, yeah. But the good news is you look at the new proposed budget for 2014 on the very, very first page.
Very, very good.
You'll see that financial administration, the only thing that will, basically, right now, it shows an increase of $4,000.
4,348.
Yep, however, based on our conversation, John, that new phone system that I bumped up computer technology.
Right.
So if we take that out,
Mhm.
then it's gonna be a total of $450
Okay.
of
Yeah,
change.
when I was talking with Julie today, I thought that the phone system should be something that might be a warrant article, since it's like over
Instead of-
$5,000.
Instead of something in the
Okay,
budget.
okay.
You know, 'cause it really, I don't want to get a discussion about that right now, minus the phones.
So you can see on the very right, well, on the right-hand column, there's a column that says difference, and if you
Mhm.
follow that across, you'll see, the wage difference, the health insurance difference, and what that goes back and forth to is $500, the bottom line. So not too much to report.
That's good.
The assessing, that is a reevaluation year. So I talked to Jason, I put in the 60,000 for that, but and I don't know if this is considered when we're having conversations about my budget, but, basically, he said, go ahead, put in 40,000 for the budget, and then we have a capital reserve fund for reevaluation that has 40,000 in it. So I could actually reduce that account 4152 to 40,000, and we can take the 20,000 out of the capital reserve fund.
And what fund is that coming out of?
It's a reeval capital reserve fund,
Oh, we have that already?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
and there's 40,000 in it.
Reduced to 40K?
Yeah, I mean, if you want me to go ahead and take it out of capital reserve fund.
Sounds good to me, Phil.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Legal expenses, I was just gonna leave the same at 40.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
What did we spend? Did we spend 40?
No, we spent, it's on this third page, legal, we spent 30,000.
Okay.
Wow, I'm surprised we're under.
This does not reflect that 5,000, so we're at 35, if you look at that, so it's, because these are most of the numbers, but we don't have everything, there's still things trickling in that have to do with
Right.
this last year.
So it'll be pretty close to 40 by the time it's all said and done, probably. Just to kind of fill you in a little bit on that, Phil, when I first came on, there were a couple lawsuits that were on the books, and that's why we bumped it up from, I think it was 25. Get my-
25?
Yep, I lost my spot here. Where is it?
Oh, under legal? Is
Oh,
that
here
what
it
you
is, yeah, we had 25,000, and because we had settled some of those suits, we dropped it to 20. Obviously, with the two most recent ones, four recent ones, actually, we moved it back up to 40,000.
Okay.
Again, if we don't use it, it goes back in the general coffers, but I think as much
It's
as
a
I
better
like.
designation of amount. It's better designated of amount of 40, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just like to leave it there, and hopefully it'll be
Okay.
returned. Returned to sender.
And just under general government buildings, basically, you'll see that like the account for, town hall expenses, I left those because those are reimbursed. So it's just gonna show you what the expense is and we get the full reimbursement for that. So that
Okay.
can just stay as is. The ball field, the town offices, and the old library, I put on the very right-hand side what those actually, what we pay out for those. And it's electric and office cleaning, and utilities and stuff like that. They've never broken that out they just put these line items there, but then they lumped all of those budget items under maintenance of town buildings and property, but I think it would be easier to see it with actually having a budget item in there, so then you can follow it across, because it just seems cleaner to me. So I looked at what those expenses were and just took a guess as to what to plug in there for budget numbers. The reason that amount is, I don't know if you remember, but maintenance of town buildings, I deducted some money out of there because Jay did a new account.
Right, we switched that around.
Yeah,
So this had been restructured, I guess is
Yeah.
probably the word I want to use.
right. And then there's an item on there, maybe John, maybe you know something about it, but it says health insurance others.
I couldn't even
That
begin to tell
is-
you.
Do you know what that is?
Yeah, that's for the, any selectmen, former selectmen, or
Oh.
who might want to take the insurance.
But they pay it fully
They pay it
themselves.
fully, so it's
So-
reimbursed, but you've got to put it in your budget because you're going to spend it.
Well, but it doesn't go through us. It doesn't, it's
That's-
handled,
Yeah, that's what it used to be.
okay, so I don't even know.
Is that the check we get from the insurance people?
No.
No?
No, that's a
Part of
surplus
that?
thing that
I thought that maybe
that
it
was
was-
something totally
okay.
separate. But the retired people that are on the health insurance plan, they're billed directly from the company. It has nothing to do with us. So
I mean,
I don't know if you want to keep, I'll keep that 29 on there, but I don't know
Do
what
we
it's
use
for.
any of it?
No.
Didn't use any of it this last
No.
year?
Let me look back in my notes and
Oh, you-
see if,
okay.
like from last
41.
year's budget discussion and things like that.
Okay,
See what I can find
Sure.
for you.
But you're saying it's billed outside of the financial system in the town?
it does not pass through the town at all.
I don't know why then, unless I don't understand why we would budget anything for it.
Yeah.
Or why it would appear if it's not any different in a, I'm
Might
asking
require a phone
questions.
call,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, or the insurance company.
And then building inspection, I left those, I bumped up the septic design review because we actually
Yeah.
went over budget a little bit, so I bumped that up 1,000. The ambulance, they did call and say that they were gonna put in 6,400 again. They may change that, they may bump it up a little, but I said, you've gotta tell me in the next short bit
Yeah.
here.
We didn't spend that this year, did we?
Yes, we
We
did.
did spend it all,
Yeah,
21.
We did. Emergency management, I lowered that by 1,100 because
Oh, we went over a little bit.
some of it was used for the hazard mitigation plan, and that's been submitted and done, so I reduced that a little bit. The health inspector, I deleted that line item because the position has now been combined with the health officer, or emergency management rather.
Oh, so for the line above 4291, that one's been combined, the health.
Well,
I
actually,
got lost.
the
I got lost.
4290, oh, we were talking about the
No, I
emergency.
know, I'm trying to figure out where.
The health inspector is Tom.
Right, but that actually, that money, his money comes out of elected officials at the very, very top.
Is it elected officials, or he was appointed though?
Oh, so maybe that's in the wrong spot.
He
Maybe
was
that-
appointed, but.
Oh, so maybe that, so that needs to go down here. Okay, which is why, okay.
So, where am I here? I'm missing, you have health inspector.
And that
4411,
position is no longer an independent position.
Okay, then where'd it go to where?
It went into 4291.
right above it.
So that's, okay, all right, okay.
And then under the social services, there are some people that I haven't heard from yet, so I don't know.
Oh, I got a question back to that one.
Yeah.
On the, since you deducted 1,100 from that 4291 account.
Yeah, that's still covered.
And you took out the health inspector, where did the money for the health inspector go?
Well, the health inspector and emergency management is still only 2,000.
Okay,
And so that would still be fine if we left that 4291 at 4,000.
all right, so that's going to include the health inspector.
Yeah,
Where is 4291?
it's the emergency management and wages.
On the side, 4291 there.
I got that, but I don't, okay.
Oh, there isn't, I wasn't,
I got you.
yeah, I was using the account number
Okay,
now.
I got you, okay.
Not the money. Alrighty, Children Unlimited,
So, yeah, I haven't heard from them yet.
you will. You'll-
White Mountain Community, I'll have.
You'll hear from all of them, right?
Okay.
Last minute.
And then public welfare, I was leaving,
Do we call these people? Make sure? Because I know we got the Eastern Slope one that came in.
yeah, all the numbers that are plugged in there are the ones that received.
Maybe give them a ring up and just to remind them that we're trying to get our book done early this year.
Okay. Okay, and then public welfare, I left, it looks like for the past 3 years, it's been the same, so I figured.
Have we used it?
No,
4442.
well, I don't think so.
4442, public welfare. No, not much of it.
Yeah.
Leave it the same, that way we have it there.
And then I need to, I've already emailed the rec department for if they want to keep that the same. Now, my question, I guess, is, like, for these Jackson Conservation Commission, do we plug that in, or am I asking the Conservation Commission?
They should give us a
They should
number, I
give us a
believe.
number. Okay. And then,
Channel 3, we should get a number for that.
yep. And then you'll see I added a new line item
Yep.
for the beautification, because they have that lumped in with the town building way up here. under
Yeah, I like to
equipment.
pull that out separately so people know what we're spending on
Yeah,
TV.
Yeah, so I pulled that, I made that one new, and then I've got to ask, I guess we need to figure out if we're doing a warrant article for Not Wait Again.
Is that the beautification
Yeah.
project?
No, the beautification project is the Jackson Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I think Phil Davies did the warrant article, so I don't think it's up to us to do it. We'll have to wait and see what he does.
Okay,
That was last year's warrant
Yes.
article.
Yes,
so if no one does anything with it, then
then
they
didn't do
it
it.
goes away. And we're not, I talked to Warren, he said we weren't getting a bond for anything. So that's kind of it as far as what I have.
Just out of curiosity, this says bond, interest
Yep.
in 13. Why? Is there no bond interest in 14?
Well, I think that we paid off the bond.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah, I
that's
think we
why
paid
it's-
one off last
Okay,
year.
that answers that question. All right.
Yeah, last year, the board decided to pay off the bond instead of giving money back like we did this year.
Okay.
Somebody did ask, I think Bill Wogich asked if we want, there's another bond out for this, isn't there? Still for this one?
I'll double check, but I don't.
I think Whitney's got paid off and this one still goes. I'm not sure. It might be all in one. Or the garage.
Oh, and do you know what that one was for?
It's People's Bank, but I don't know,
Could be the garage.
Okay, I'll check.
Those are the last two big, this,
Yeah.
Whitney's and the garage were the last three. They
I'll
might
check.
still be out
I
there.
thought we didn't have it, but okay.
One of them got paid off, I know.
Okay, I'll find out about that.
And what's the debt service?
The what?
The
The
debt?
debt service, that is just the
Oh,
bond principal and
Okay.
bond interest.
That's the total then?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's all I have.
Anything, Bill?
No, I don't.
So the grand total,
I didn't do it because I don't have all the.
oh, I don't have all the
The
numbers,
numbers.
okay. But in terms of your office, though, we are down a little bit,
We would increase it by $500.
$100, perfect.
Yeah.
Can live with that.
So on this page, the second page, I'm gonna take the emergency management out of that number at the very bottom. Because he's appointed.
What were the wages up from?
They are up $389.
That's all. one you don't have anything for the health officer, you're gonna take that out, that's already been taken out, right?
Yeah, I took that one out already.
That's good.
You missed it, I'm done.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Can I go now?
So do you guys have any questions? Are you good with that? And I'll have Karen come up and talk. You can just take your packet and I'll explain stuff to you
Okay,
later.
great.
Nothing, no
Yeah.
real surprises,
I got into town a little bit early because Jay needed some of my time. I just came from town garage, so there's a couple of things we'll talk about, but not related to this. So, great, I'll catch up with it. I don't want anybody to like start repeating stuff.
No, I can give you a pretty
Good.
fast rundown.
All right.
All right.
I think Karen's up. All right.
Nice to see you.
Oh, she's not going anywhere, we're keeping her.
Good.
Excuse me. Exciting, all these numbers.
Yeah. This is your bailiwick, right? This is your bailiwick, right? here.
Yeah, right.
Numbers guy.
I was telling the guys the other day, I'm calculus. I can do the calculus stuff. Just give me a bunch of spreadsheets, there's a bunch of adding and subtracting.
If you don't mind, I'm going to give each of you, this is what I got from Julie. It is our budget versus the actual for this year. Okay, and over the last 4 years, Jeanette has managed to keep it down and under, and we're nearly 13%, 12% under
Good.
for the year. Part of that, doesn't really show in the salaries, but part of it was because I absorbed her work and we didn't have a deputy for the last 2 months, only on a very minimal basis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Just want you to see where those numbers were.
What kind of items are in the expenses line item?
I have a detailed report.
Oh,
right
okay.
here.
Oh, okay. Because that looks like a pretty substantial underage. So,
Yeah, we did good. Part of the reason is she's had allocated some furniture items that we needed to do that I was unaware of that was available at the end of the year and with the changeover.
mhm.
So we did take care of that. We needed to look into ordering a file cabinet, and we need to replace a desk. I believe I just found a desk for free that will get rid of the one that is literally falling apart in the office, and I just have to get it here. And it's in great shape, and it will match the furniture that's there.
How long as it matches?
It matches wonderful. It's a good start.
Hey, how'd you manage that?
I don't know, it's sheer luck.
Do you need help getting it here? Do you need help
I have
coordinating
my
that?
pickup, so either Bob, when we get it, it's up on Gorham Heights.
Mhm.
So, and that family is ecstatic to have it find a new home. It's in their house.
Okay.
This, I'm giving each of you, thank you, it's very similar to the way Julie Atwell presented hers. In the past, Jeanette had hers more detailed, but I found that it's easier if we all follow the same format. And this is the format that I've been working with over the years. One of the changes that will happen is if you're looking, it really is the payroll area. In 2013, we spent a total of $31,300, which was what was in the budget. Okay, and you'll see that if you go to column 2014, it goes to $32,552. Jeanette and I went over the calendar year with all the training for various purposes. Also, we will have 4 elections this year. So there'll be a need for additional staff on those days. Based on vacation time and training, we calculated that we would need about $4,000 for a deputy, with the idea that I would be working the rest of the hours. Okay. What I did there was some mention along the way, a couple of times, concern about whether or not the office could be open 5 days a week. There was like, oh, what if? So I did put that in as on the second page. All the numbers that have previously been in there are based according to the FICA percentage, the expenses. There is a line item that says elections and registration expenses, if you could take note. It's been there every year. That is a number that we get from the supervisors of the checklist. And it just happens to land in this department. So without us knowing what it is, Jeanette, we did take it out because we don't know how much they're going to be asking for. You'll also notice on that first line item, you'll see collections and collection fees to the state of New Hampshire. We did take that out. We're not positive, but we believe it is the number. We collect money and then we refund the state for it. It's not actual income and we're not being charged it. And we were told at one point that we needed to remove certain items and combine them because it was a wash. And it was those type of fees. So that's why that is now zero, because it comes in, it goes out.
And who gave you that advice?
I believe it could have been Julie and it could have been Ellen. It was over sometime when we got notice from the accountants or someone
Okay.
had said that we don't need to do that anymore.
Okay.
I think they just want to make it easier.
And was there money expended out of the elections registration expenses line item last year or the year before?
Yes, there has been. And last year I don't think we used as much.
And where again is that money going to come from for this year's elections?
The supervisors randomly, they put that dollar amount in.
They give us advice on it.
They give us what they need, and it happens to land in this number. So that would have to be
But we don't have it yet.
Oh, so we're not zeroing out that line item, it's just,
No, we just
it's
don't.
just zeroed right now, and there will be a number in there based on the
Yeah, number will be
supervisors and
added.
checklist.
To be determined.
All right,
Exactly.
so, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Looked to me like we were zeroing it out, and I didn't
Yeah, I was
understand.
getting a little worried there.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Now, is there a line item for the elections?
That is the only location we have for a line item for elections.
Because we are going to have 4 this year.
And in 2012, we had 4, and they had budgeted 1,500. for
Right, so we
2012.
probably would anticipate at least 1,500 in that item as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what that line item is used for, Bill? Is that, we've got a elections and registration expenses line item in the town clerk's office. It's had anywhere from 1,500 to 750. Is that where the Subway sandwiches come from?
No.
No. That's, don't hold me to this, but that's
Right.
relatively new.
Oh,
Prior years, going back several years, the election expenses used to be part of town officers, town expenses included in that. And as far as the lunch and that kind of stuff, that's been great, but that's only been, it hasn't been that many years that that's happened. So I think that's a relatively new expense.
okay.
But previous, way back, it was very much always in part of the town office's expenses line. You know, your
Yeah.
operating budget line is miscellaneous or whatever.
Okay.
Because I don't know that we've ever had an actual line on the town budget for elections.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate-
Some of the changes you notice really is due to the salary, and the reason is I'm proposing that currently I have been working an average of 30 plus hours a week, and my intention is that we're going to be opening up on Thursday if elected, and if it's, people allow it. So the hours will be Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, unless of course there is discussion about a 5th day.
And how many hours a week then is that?
I'm saying if it's 4 days a week, if we add Thursdays, it's going to be about 28 hours plus or minus. And the
That
reason
we're
is
open?
that we're open to the public.
And what was it before Jeanette stepped down? How many hours a week was it?
We were open to the public 16 before Jeanette stepped down.
Okay.
I'm open to the public 18 hours now.
And this budget represents 28 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
Now I will hand you some math on some salary numbers. Jeanette worked about an average of 20 hours a week, plus or minus. Okay, she was with the public essentially 5 to 6 hours a day. And her shift was 3 days a week. I based it on 20 just to beef it up a little bit instead of 15. If we did 5 hours a day for 3 days, I based it on 20 hours for the week instead of 15. If you divide it out, you'll see on that left-hand column, the 2310, 52 weeks, her weekly amount divided by 20 hours. Just to give, I know it's a salary position, but just to give you a base rate on what an hourly pay would be. And then if it went over to the far right, you'll see that if it was 35 hours times the 52, and that's the salary. What I am proposing is the two bottom lines. The $16.90 as an average hourly rate. It's right around, it's a little bit more than what I was making as a deputy. At one of the calculations I had originally, it would actually make me have less than my deputy pay.
You mean the hourly rate?
The hourly rate, okay? So if I was to work $16.90 times the 35 hours a week, you know, and what I would like to do is ask for, as a full-time employee, the same benefits that any other full-time employee has, with the same acknowledgement. I would have to work a minimum of an average of 30 hours or an average of 35 hours to meet the requirements. There would be no, I know that by law I can work whatever hours I want, but I'm saying this is what I've been told by other towns, and they follow the same rules as the other towns. I do have a printout of the other towns who receive benefits the same as other employees.
Town clerks.
Town clerk, tax collectors. Yeah.
Because, I mean, obviously, that's where the increase is.
Exactly.
I mean,
And then we have a health insurance line item which shows an increase because I would be asking for health insurance as a full-time employee.
right.
Okay. This, just as a reference, I've calculated is a report that we have access to from each of the town clerk tax collectors. And there are many more towns, but these are the ones I have answers to. And as you can tell, all their full-time employees and how many hours they're open or how many hours they're scheduled for. And what some of their salary ranges are.
So it's not, it's what they work, not necessarily what they're open, right?
That
Is
is
that what you
correct,
said?
it is what
Yeah.
they work.
Okay.
Okay. Because I was told that if you were to agree to work a 40-hour to open to the public for 40, as a town clerk tax collector, at the end of the day when we finish our work, you're going to be working at least 50 hours a week. It takes about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours per day to get
Balance.
everything done
That's right.
after hours. And I have been keeping time cards since I took over, keeping track of the hours I've been working, in case anyone wants to review what hours I've been working and how many hours I've been put in. Some towns are probably larger than us, some towns are smaller. Some towns that might be larger also might have a smaller operating budget than we do.
And all of them got benefits. Okay.
These ones here listed all receive the same exact benefits as all the other employees. And a lot of them are LGC, the same insurance company, so they get if it's a family plan, they pay 15% of the family insurance. If they work an average, and that's the key word, an average of 35 hours, they get New Hampshire retirement system. And the reason is you have to include average, I was told by these town clerks, is because when it comes time for elections, like 2 years ago, Jeanette was doing over 50 hours in 1 week with some of these elections because we had so much going on.
Sure.
So it's very key. There are times that I'm away for training and you still get paid base pay because it's a salary position.
Is that where these all come from, LGC?
I got the master report online through LGC or one of the companies, and then I individually called each of the towns and got their information.
Oh,
And I spoke with each town clerk, tax collector that is listed here. There are more, but I did not list them because I did not have access or got answers from them yet.
so you populated these columns. I see, that didn't come to us. through
They
you
have
guys.
more columns for them on the spreadsheet that came offline,
Yeah.
but it included their town hours,
Mhm.
and what hours they were open to the public and so forth.
Yep, okay. Got it.
There is a report I could give you access to, and it's the town clerk tax collectors, and it's their wage and salary and benefits report, and it has 7 different spreadsheets in huge details about each town, how much they make, road agents as well as clerks, as well as administrative, and what the salaries are across the state per town, and what benefits they receive.
Okay.
And I would be open to whether or not you wanted to try for a 4-day or a 5-day. That's something you want to discuss, whether or not you want that and as an option to the town people, if they want that 5th day. It was also recommended that whatever day the selectmen's meeting is, that maybe my office be open that evening, because they seem to get a lot more traffic coming in for both offices, whether it's your meeting or if it's my office.
I think a lot of people appreciate the late hours too. It's hard to get in here.
I've had quite a few show up early morning before they're going off to work, so that's been well received so far, some of the contractors and teachers. Any questions? I did, if you'll notice on the health insurance, because it's such a large line item, if elected, and if the insurance is allowed, I only base it on 9 months because realistically, March 11th is the elections, and you wouldn't start health insurance until April 1. I did not put in a budget line item for a whole year because it was only 9 months going to be used. What else was I supposed to let you know on that?
So we would expect to see that go up by 25% even if the rates stayed flat next year.
Yes.
30% probably easy.
Mhm.
With the Obama laws changing and requesting everybody to have health insurance, and especially if you work full-time, that's what I'm trying for. I did receive an email from Christine Fillmore, I believe is her name. It's from legal inquiries from the New Hampshire Municipal Organization. And it basically, I know we've had previous elected officials receive health insurance, or eligible for it. And her quote was, and I don't know if it's quite the right way, so we have to find out. If the town has voted to make all elected officials eligible for health insurance, then the expense to the town for that benefit should be included in every year in the proposed budget. It may appear as part of the overall health insurance expense line or separately for each position. And we have been in contact with the insurance company, and they did state that elected officials were eligible to have insurance through our town policy. So the question is does this go to a warrant article, or is this a budgeted line item because we've had other elected officials receive health insurance?
Is this the same thing Julie was talking about or not?
No, Julie's was people who were retired, only because I had researched it, people who had previously been retired, and they physically make a payment to the insurance company directly. And that's why that line item previously might have gone in to us and washed out, but it doesn't sound like it happens anymore.
If we leave that line item in there, you cover your insurance.
Oh, I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
Bill, did you?
Just a comment, I mean, this goes back well into the early 80s. Many town elected employees, elected individuals have taken advantage of the town insurance. That's always been in the insurance line item.
Right.
Shows as an expense, which you have to do by DRA, but they have, once they're no longer that, in that office, they maintain that insurance, pay the town cost, and that shows as a reimbursement back to the town, which, goes into that general fund side.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a wash, but as she says, that has always been budgeted that way. And that goes back, I know, back to early 80s, that's been going on, if not longer. Just a point of reference. They reimburse the town the cost, and that shows as a reimbursement, but the actual expenditure the town makes has been a line item.
Yeah, the town pays the insurance and we get the money
Town
from
pays it, and
the,
it's budgeted under the insurance category column in your budget.
right.
Been doing it that way for a long time.
And by all means, if I am planning on running in March, and if I don't get elected, that is fine, so that won't be an issue. Unless the new person coming in chooses to work full-time, because that's what I'm proposing, is that this would be meeting the minimum standards that you require of every other town employee. Can I answer any questions that you may have?
It's pretty thorough and it's pretty clear, I think, that,
I do, if you want a copy, I don't know if you've ever had it in the past, of what the expenses are. It's a detailed report at the bottom. I
the
mean,
line item we were talking
a
about
line
earlier.
item, yeah,
the
for your expenses.
Yep.
Okay. It's that 13,190.
Office supplies, dues, okay.
I have to say, it's pretty small to read now.
Down there it is, down at the bottom of page 1, last line,
There it is.
dog licenses.
Discussion.
Dog licenses.
We got
It doesn't make it costs money and it doesn't bring anything in, really.
right,
No.
right.
I think it's
We
$1 per
learned
tag.
that one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
The second page of that report, you'll see there's a town clerk tax collector audit. In the
Yep.
past, if we hired an outside firm, it would be up to $3,000. We have not used that line item in a few years. And Dave Mason has provided our audits. He is our town auditor, so we haven't had to expend out of that. Also, the computer line item, we took that item out because one of the computers from the state is new. And we are only using really essentially one computer right now. So we didn't put in money into that account because we didn't feel we needed it for this next year. And the furniture line item, it was previously at 500. And we made it 300 because we do need to replace at least one of the file cabinets. And I do have a lead on a new desk, so that's gonna keep that line item low. We did put in $1,000 on the bottom of first page. It says digitization of old records. It is our birth records and things like that. We have a number of them done already. And it was from the woman who had come in a number of years ago and made copies and made them available online with the state of New Hampshire, and also gave us a disc. The disc is highly recommended that we don't keep it here because we don't have a place to keep it safe, nor to read it. It is recommended we consider giving it to Conway because they have a microfiche film machine. But it is still available with the state. We have additional books that need to be done. And my thought is that when Linda Little comes in to fill in at times, I'm going to ask that she research the moose plate that we get donations for people doing the moose plate. There are grants available, and some of those grants are meant for the books. So we may not even have to, but if we can consider one book per year, this will save our history of our old books and preserve them.
Gentlemen,
Mm-hmm.
any,
Good.
okay.
Don't we got anything?
Okay, I guess.
We good?
This is handy, thank you.
Does that help?
Oh, yeah, yeah, I think it's always good to have concrete figures to work with.
I guess I need to know whether or not, do I need to go forward with a warrant article, or is it not necessary because it's already built into the town offering elected officials health insurance in the past? As long as it's already been done, then it has to be a budget item. And I just need, where this is my first time around, if you don't mind telling me in the future if there's something I need to do, give me a heads up so I can do it.
Yeah,
Okay?
We'll have to
absolutely.
find out whether, investigate that, see if we have to do it that way or not. Warrant article or not.
Okay,
All righty.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, it's 4:37, so take a motion to end the work session on the budget.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And open the selectmen's meeting for January 9th. Now take a motion for that.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
First on the docket is to approve the minutes from December 19th. Take a motion for that.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from December 19th meeting.
Second?
Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
And next is the work session on December 19th for the budget. Take a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the signing of the non-public meetings, December 19th, RSA 91-A:32C, I'm sorry, 2E. 2E on that one. These have already been sealed. Pretty good. Bob Hancock on that one. Thank you, sir. All right. Next is an update on the action items. And, one copy.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Not much on the agenda today. Julie had building inspector contract.
That we can probably discuss down.
Yeah, we'll discuss that one later, I guess. And we emailed Andy about his invoices, and let's just talk to Melissa in Madison about phone line savings.
That was to get her take on the cost savings for
The phone system?
what Rob was selling.
Oh, okay. And what was the deal
And
on that?
I emailed them, I haven't heard back.
Okay.
When did you email? Has it been a while?
Maybe 2, 3, 4 days.
Okay.
All right. And other Julie? Julie other? Installation of,
That was done.
that was done? It's all done?
Yeah, it's all done.
How is it?
Apparently it doesn't make a
Well-
whole lot.
It doesn't make.
No? Not at all, huh?
No,
You gotta be kidding me.
that's what Carl said.
Wonderful. All right, public comments. Anybody? Yes.
I wanted the card.
I'm Edith Houlihan, and I came to the meeting in September to comment that it would be a good idea, perhaps if the town considered getting AEDs in their public buildings.
Right.
I want you to know that one of your local nonprofits, the Friends of the Jackson Public Library, applied for a grant through the New Hampshire Electric Co-op Foundation, and were awarded a grant to pay for an AED,
Nice.
which came in the mail this week, and it will be located inside the library.
I might need it later, so.
And during working hours, that's why it's important that they're in multiple buildings. There were 200 people last night at the Whitney Center for the Friends of the Library talk on a man climbing Everest with no oxygen. And this was shown to the community members that were there then. And this is the same one that is inside the Whitney Community Center right now. Not the same as we have around town with police and fire, but this was a good middle of the road item, CPR for
Thank you.
That looks like the exact one I was trained on, but a long time ago, so I've obviously forgotten everything. Training on that unit, how does the staff get trained?
Well, actually, Tom, the health and safety person from town, I let him know about it, and I'm hoping that between him and maybe the friends of the library, the Friends of the Whitney, people will come and try to set up some CPR classes that community members can take. I took one at Kennett High School. It takes 3 hours. It costs $30. The beauty of an AED is if you don't have any medical training,
Right.
this talks you through it. You know, it comes with pictures. You don't even have to read. It comes with the pads in the back. And it does, when you're freaking out, the first thing it tells you to do is call 911, okay? You're not a medical professional, but by the time they get there, this could save somebody's life. And it does talk you through it, but just having a familiarity with it, hopefully people in the community will realize that that's a good investment of a few hours of spare time.
Thank you. Any other needs for those in the town, do you think?
Well, I thought that it was important to have in the library because you don't need 50 people in a building for somebody to have an event.
Right.
Be unconscious or a heart attack. But there's so many things going on there, like the Whitney Center, so many things going on there. That's why they're in all the schools on every level, at the high school, one on every floor. They're in office buildings. They cost about $1,000. And hopefully you never have to use it. We have them in our police cruisers.
Right.
Fire department has one.
We don't have one in this building.
But no, there's not one in this building.
That's true.
Is it downstairs?
No, it's in their vehicle.
It's in their vehicle.
It's not the building.
So,
Very good. Thank you.
that might actually be something to discuss with
Friends of the library.
Tom,
Yeah.
you know, as far as, you know, where, if he thinks there's additional need through the town. But I think that the library gets a lot of use, I think that'll be a good place for it.
Definitely.
I hope we never have to use it.
Was that a grant process, just a rolling, open
No, it had a
process?
deadline, it had letters to write,
Okay.
awesome, you know, just to kind of give them the background and the facility. And they were great to work with and looking for ways to give back to the community. So,
Great. Appreciate all their efforts. Thank you.
Just a comment, I think it's wonderful having had the lovely opportunity to have a couple of events in my life. Well, I'd make a suggestion. Training is really good and it's important to redo it, but you got a perfect source without having to pay. Talk to Rick, talk to Bartlett Jackson. They have to research CPR every year.
Right.
And they usually maintain instructors on squad that do that in-house. It'd be great PR for the town, for them. I'm sure if you want to do a research class or a training class for employees and interested people, you got a resource right there. Why not?
And
Utilize it.
Tom did mention to us, he did come in and say that if there was a training, you know, that we should go, and so I think he's trying to set something.
Yeah,
up.
that's a
Yeah.
perfect resource to tap without
Right.
a lot of extra costs.
Now, do they charge for research and like for attending these things?
Usually.
Because what if you were to charge something that might go towards the purchase of an additional one for the town hall or wherever it might be a need? You can use that as almost like a fundraiser for those who might participate, a stipend, a small fee to attend.
I mean, in 25 years of my world with the ambulance service, we always researched it in-house
Right.
and/or with other squads, and
Right.
there was no charge because
Right.
the instructors would get their instructor certification.
Part of the program.
Part of the program, you had to do it anyway. So now, to do it to the general public, you know,
I think there was
personally, a
small
donation
fee.
might be great, but I don't think you,
Yeah, Kennett charged, it was through their continuing ed,
yeah.
and they charged $30, but it was to cover
minimal.
the cost of the instructor,
If
you know.
you have to
giving
hire
them
the instructor, that's
Right.
cheap, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you got in-house, and I said, I know there's squad members that have instructor certification to do that.
Mhm.
I'm just saying, that'd be a great public relations thing, as well as expose them, you know, to other people, to employees and what have you, just a suggestion.
Very good. Anything else on it?
Down for an action item to just kind of look into that between now and the next meeting,
To the training.
prospects for training.
And
Whether
John,
it's
to
Rick
answer
and
yours,
Tom.
the library staff, Susan did attend a CPR class, and Lisa and Meredith were both certified through the school.
Mhm.
Right.
So our staff is trained.
That's great.
Super.
Thanks, Edith.
Thank you. Any other public comments? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the police report, please.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon. Oh, yeah.
Good, it's kind of calmed down a little bit after the holidays, so it's,
Yeah, I bet.
let's see, our endeavors, a couple of broke down vehicles we've helped out, about 6 parking issues during that whole snowstorm fiasco and assisting the highway with that. 2 medical assists. We assisted Gorham PD on be on the lookout. Assisted Troop F with closing Route 16 when, in the notch, when, I guess, when it first iced up, they had like 30 vehicles off the road. So for about an hour and a half, it was closed. About 6 burglar alarms that were accidental, ended up being accidental. 1 suspicious vehicle that was gone on our arrival. 2 arrests, both on reckless operation, high rate of speeds and terrible weather condition and such. Let's see, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 2 assists to motor vehicles that that had problems in the snow when the storms were happening. 1 911 hang-up that was accidental. 2 fire calls, assist the fire department, I should say. 1 was a chimney, and I don't recall if the other was just a false alarm or not. Assisted a tractor-trailer unit that was broke down. We served an emergency protection order for someone. We fingerprinted 1 subject for, I believe it was for, so they can work with the school and the kids. 1 criminal mischief report, and 2 missing person reports. 1 was local and the person was found, and the other is kind of a statewide, be on the lookout from another state. Someone who's been missing and reported might be in the forest area or something. So that's about all I have.
Any questions there?
Good.
I had during the break, I had a discussion with some young gentlemen who were rail riding out here by the ballpark, on snowboards, trying to have some fun.
Right.
A couple former students of mine. So the conversation was a good conversation, but do you ever have any run-ins with people to kind of keep them off there?
Oh yeah, every year we at least get one that would go down and say, hey, please stop for liability reasons, so yeah. If we see it, we do address it.
Yeah, okay, 'cause it was, they're not 100 pounds anymore. They're big boys riding down that rail. I'm afraid they're going to get hurt or do some damage there. But I just know it was appropriate for me to speak up on that. But.
I think so. I think the town's going to probably take a hit if someone got hurt
Sure.
on it.
Sure.
Or at least someone's going to try to. I don't know.
Anything else? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Sean.
Next on the docket are the legal expenses. This is the grand total, hopefully. For the Banesh case was just a little over $15,000. And Funicella case ended up being about $8,300 for a grand total of $18,373 to date. But both those cases have been settled and hopefully will no longer,
That
you know.
the side 5 right there,
Sorry?
the 5,000 that I wrote.
Yes, 5,000
That
was
includes.
part of the settlement with Frank's case, yeah. New business.
One thing that's part of new business that
we have until the first 10 days of the year is when you guys can encumber funds. And so we need to have you guys, I guess, make a motion to encumber funds for the master build-out. $15,000 was put aside for that. 2,500 of it has been used thus far, but because of the fact that we have a signed contract, you guys are allowed to encumber funds, which means it's not going to go into the general fund.
Very good. And what was the balance on that?
Well, 15,000, we've used 2,500 to date.
So 1,250. 15,000. 14. Okay, so I guess we need a motion to encumber the funds for the planning board's master plan of $13,750.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. 6A, Board of Adjustment opening. Joan had resigned, and Joan Opry and Dave Metesky is asked to, or is being recommended by Frank to join the board. We got a couple emails in favor of that, I believe. We saw at least one, I remember.
Well, I think that,
That was part of the,
I think that you guys had to discuss whether or not you're going to make this a formal position where we put an ad in the paper and go through the normal process.
Well, posting it could be in the paper, probably should be in the paper, if we're going to post, as well as e-news and on bulletin boards and things like that. I think I'm on record as being in favor of posting when we have openings on appointed positions on boards. I just think it's a healthy habit to get into. And Dave Metesky right now is currently serving as an alternate, so.
right, so he'll be in that anyways.
Well,
if he's there.
He may.
Yeah.
And so, but regardless, if he is appointed as a regular member on the zoning board of adjustment, then that means we'll have an opening for an alternate.
Right.
So,
So do you want us to go ahead and post that position then for have you go through the normal process?
Probably post a position and an alternate, because we're going to need
well, we have,
possibly, anyways.
we'll have one opening. We have one opening right now, right?
Yeah, just one
and
ZBA
so,
opening. Probably the best way to do it.
regardless of whether it's an alternate that slides in to a regular position or not, there's an opening there, so.
And what kind of deadline do you want for hearing responses, like a week turnaround?
I don't think we need to have more than a week of that posted. I think it's the right thing to do.
And we can do it by our next meeting.
Yeah, right.
I don't think there's any real urgency, like you said, he's an alternate anyways. So.
Right, right. So he'll be currently sitting, I don't know how many alternates there are offhand, I don't think it's
Two.
only
There's
one.
only
but,
two, yeah.
yeah, so it's not like they're being left short.
Okay with that? Good. Moving on to the intent to cut, R36 and R30,
So I don't know that it's, I think that was, I printed
Lot
off.
2 and Lot 6 respectively.
Well, I printed off the tax cards associated with that owner's name,
Mhm.
and there is no R36. So I think what they meant, I wrote in pencil, I think it was R30,
30?
Lot 2 and Lot 6 is what I think they.
Sound right, B?
Oh, probably.
30?
And so those were the two that didn't have anything, any land on there, or building rather.
Mhm.
So R30 Lot 2, R30 Lot 6 is
Yeah.
what you're calling, okay. All right, so I need to take a motion to do the intent to cut for Lot 30, I'm sorry, R30 Lot 2 and R30 Lot 6.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 2 and 6.
2 and 6. 9th. 14, don't forget it's 14. Next to be signed is the MS60.
That's just going back to the Department of Revenue, telling them what our audit process is, like whether we're using a CPA firm, an
Yeah.
All right. All right, I guess I need a motion to sign for the group here on this MS 60.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That one's done. Then we got FYI on the Health Trust.
This is telling us what money we're gonna get back this year for the surplus.
Okay. Not as much as last year.
And do you want that, you guys need to just let me know when that does come in, if you want that to just go back into the health trust, into the general fund. Because it's broken down, in the past, that you put it back in there versus there, you'll see the highlighted breakout of, like,
Mhm.
it could go to elected, it could go to retired, and you guys just all put it back in the general fund in the past for last year.
So, we have a preference there?
I would think you'd put it in the general fund to keep track of healthcare costs.
But this is, they would be putting it back, otherwise you put it back in the medical expense category and return it there in that line item, as opposed to putting it in the big general fund for all the other monies that are left over from the year. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's gonna offset no matter where.
It is, it's just a question of where our expenses are being recorded.
Right, well, I have to show it as income,
Oh,
so I can't.
All right, so we don't have to vote on that, that's just an FYI.
But you want me to just proceed normally?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Special election with Bill Kelly.
Yes, sir.
What we got?
Well, I just want to make sure.
Thanks
Yeah.
for coming, I know.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Thanks
coming.
for allowing me, Dean.
Tight.
We have, as you guys know, we have a special primary coming up, January 21st. So it's kind of an odd one.
Ray Burton?
Yeah, and figured I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page on our newly discussed plan for you to designate the electioneering campaign zone. I'm assuming, I guess you've had some conversations with Jay about how, we're gonna have to open that area up. We need to make sure that it's designated, marked, and I don't know that, from my standpoint, whether we actually formalized who's actually gonna do that. Is it the school's responsibility? Is it gonna be the town's responsibility? We gotta make sure that's squared away. The other thing, which it bothers the heck out of me personally, but I'm not gonna be available for January 21st till about 4 to 4:30 in the afternoon, and that's first election in 14 years moderator and 10 assistant that I think I've missed being involved in setup. So, and I only have, as of right today, I only have one assistant, Tim Scott, who's been an assistant, and he's confirmed that he's available. As you know, I put it out there that I'm looking for interested people, and I actually have a couple of interested people right at the moment that would like to become an assistant moderator. So that's going to be a big help. And I know, John, you'd mentioned you'd be around a good part, and you all three will, I'm sure, share the duties of being around that day. But that being a newly created zone, my thought is, as I mentioned to Julie 1 and Julie 2, that we should probably have that
Thing one, thing two.
that area map that we all approved and agreed to
Right.
present, and we ought to put something.
Well, I went down there and looked at it today. There is an area, again, I don't know how big of an area we need. Do we need to clear out that entire zoned area for this election, or is this something where we can get by with a, I know, this is the quagmire here, because that thing is frozen solid, and you know what?
And as you remember, and I'm not throwing this, I told you so, but when we talked about it back in the
I
summer,
know.
we were over there, I said, you're talking winter snow removal, you're talking spring repair after the snow removal. It's not just it's great to look at it when it's grass and sunny.
And it really isn't feasible to use this, because they could be using
Not in the
that.
wintertime.
You know,
It could be-
that's the thing.
It's exactly right.
You know.
But anyway, I personally think if we have a small area, this is a primary election for one individual. I believe there are 3 Republican candidates and 1 Democrat candidate so far. Not saying that there couldn't be other write-ins, but I just can't imagine there'll be a lot of people
out there
out there
campaigning.
holding campaign signs for,
I know, we have to make a sincere effort to
We
do
do.
what we do. And
We
it-
should-
there is an
we will.
area there down by the fire hydrant, which, probably would, with a little work, could be, massaged to work with this particular election being so slim.
and we somehow need to identify that area,
Rope it off.
something,
Yep.
yeah, to satisfy all, so that,
Anything up near the tree, like it's just where the zone ends there, I mean, that is bulletproof up there right now. I mean, you could be blasting away at that.
I'm with you, John, I'm with you. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and
Right.
we've got all those things covered. Like I said, especially feeling bad that I'm not going to be there, haven't been involved in a lot of those discussions and that issue, to do that. And the other thing on my list to discuss, that one of the things we talked about, two issues, being that it's getting close to warrant time. We need to have a couple of, are you all up on the warrant articles that we talked about doing to, number one, rescind the current article so that we at least have that out of our hair, because that's the only way that's going to satisfy everyone. And then number two, going forward, not that we, I mean, by, as near as I can determine by statute and reading and all of the issues we had, I don't know that it's by statute necessary to do another article, but I think because of the issue and because of what we've gone through, it needs to be clarified, and we need something that we can hang our hat on. Because just as likely, as I mentioned, legally, if someone has already challenged the constitutionality of enforcing that article, I've had people say, I can easily file a complaint that you're not doing your job by not enforcing an article on the book. So you all know all that. I just want to make sure that time's
Nice catch
clicking away
22.
here. Catch 22, so we need to get this behind us, because I can tell you for one person, I'm not going to go through this again. Just doing my job, and
Right.
you guys, I'm sure, are about probably equally as.
But I
Thank you
am
for reminding me of
concerned
that.
about having anything less than that shaded area that we've agreed to set aside for electioneering. I really am. I
Tell
really
me,
think
you're
we
saying,
need to.
what did you say, have it all available?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
I think you.
I know,
exposed
but I
yourselves to a
really
mess by not-
think that
I agree. I think
it should, the whole thing should be made available for anybody who wants to electioneer, and it should be staked off, because that is what we agreed to. And I just don't feel that there's ethically any way around that. We can't minimize it by saying it's a small election, it's winter.
I agree.
I just don't think we can get, I just don't think that's the right way to handle this.
Who's going to pay?
Especially
tab?
under the circumstances of being brand new. I agree with you. The common sense side says we shouldn't have to do that, but the reality is we agreed to a
That's
condition to settle this,
That's right.
and a lot of compromises were made on the other end, on the other behalf. We need to comply with what we stated
We
we were
really
going to
do.
do under the,
We really do. And I'll talk to Jay about it.
and that's going to be,
I agree with Bob. I think you're just asking for more contention by,
Yeah.
say we're not.
whether it's one individual or 50. I
And
mean,
you
it's-
asked who's going to pay for it. The town's going to pay for it. The town's going to pay for it every election that
Right.
we need to go out there and put in special work. And there's presidential primaries in January, and the town's going to pay for that too.
With crafting a new article, as we've discussed, and I know Attorney Malloy had some comments, and there was going to, I was thinking there was going to be a little research done to see what other towns may have done to craft, because there are other towns in this. I mean, not that I won't spend any money, believe me, any more than anyone else does. We've certainly spent enough on legal fees, but as I've said before, whatever we put in to get the blessing, the authorization, the acceptance by the town as a majority needs to be able to withstand that from the
Pass
court.
muster.
And pass muster, exactly, as well as satisfy all all parties.
Right.
Oh, I'm certainly gonna run it by Peter for sure.
And I think we should craft something that, where we lost before was it specifically said town property.
Right,
The school is not town property, as we found out.
right.
So if we create an article, in my mind, it should be
All
in
encompassing.
the town, whether it's town property, school property, or private property, because who knows next year or 5 years down the road where an election might have to be held. Let's do something that we're not locked into that long
Right.
little wording
Right,
that caught us this last time. Because in 1986, I don't think there was a person that walked this town that thought we were gonna be having elections in another facility on non-town property
right,
20 years later.
Yeah.
25, whatever.
right.
So,
I agree. And
not to create a lot of work, but the clock is ticking on
Right.
the 21st.
So we get
Right.
Peter to, on that,
Yeah.
warrant articles for the Frank Benesh settlement, get that. Sure he-
One to basically
Rescind
rescind
the
the
first
article
one.
we passed in 1986, and the new one to,
Yeah.
And not to, don't back us in a corner on
No.
on the property
and
issues.
that's gonna be, well, I know Barbara Laughlin, the schools, she did a lot of research as well. She might be able to
Yeah,
throw some, look at what some of these other
Yeah.
towns have done.
and Peter might have a lot of things on record already,
Right,
but
right.
I think you're right, we don't have to invent something.
No,
It exists
No,
already, the language and everything, and then apply it to fit. Well, Barbara
Barbara
Lohman
Lock.
is the school attorney for SAU 9.
yeah, I would think that Peter could, he's got her, I would
Yeah,
think they could maybe
right.
telephone call, converse a little bit to,
Yeah, when we contact Peter, we can say she could be a resource, who knows, but, yeah,
suggestion.
right. And an action item for me would be to make sure that I meet with Jay and we're clear on how, on the area for electioneering will be made available to anybody who chooses to electioneer that day.
It's probably gonna take several hours to remove that stuff, so I'm sure Jay will know what to do, but
Right.
it's not a one.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna, well, it's a huge
brutal.
lot, and God knows what we're gonna get between now and then. And unless it's storming bad, I'm assuming they'll make themselves available during the day as they always have.
Right.
As I said, Tim's gonna be opening and holding down the fort till probably 4-ish.
So Jerry Dougherty is not,
Jerry resigned back last year in March. I haven't talked to him about future, he certainly served his time.
he did, yeah,
Did a great job, and I'm
Right.
gonna miss him tremendously. Which, so one of these days I gotta call him and say, again, 100 thanks, but yeah, no, I haven't even asked him,
okay,
I figured he's, I had a couple interested people, that little ad that came out in the paper, or that ad, the notice
Yeah.
that stimulated a couple phone calls.
Good.
And,
okay,
May get another one, I've heard I might get another interested
All right.
person. Whether it's the moderator's discretion just to appoint assistants or any election official as he seems necessary for, whether it be one day or for an annual thing, so it's not
Okay.
anything that's gotta be, it's,
sounds good. All right,
I gotta
Ballot counters?
Yeah, we can take care of the ballot, during the day, we can get the ballot counters, and I talked to Julie and Julie. Well, once, she's gonna do that, and I'm gonna, so I never know, but they've got I think you got a handle on what
Yeah.
you need to do. You need the ballot clerks that actually do the check-in list and pass the ballots out is the selectmen's responsibility, which is, that's the list that I know in the past I had mentioned Ella had done
mm-hmm,
previously a few years. I don't know, did you ever
I
able?
found your list.
Okay.
At least it's a start.
Right.
If you have any trouble, obviously, we can make some, and say at the last minute, if we need to throw somebody in, again, not to dwell on the fact that it's it's gonna be a very, very long,
Right.
slow day, I think. I don't think it's gonna be a huge,
Sure.
it's, and probably an awful lot of people.
polls open regular hours, 8 to 7?
Yeah. And there again, that was done by town vote, so we can't change that
Right.
without going back to the
I was just
town.
wondering about special elections and we're still locked into regular hours.
I
That's fine.
believe the article there, again, I'll go back and look at it, but the state says 8 to 3 or longer. You can't go shorter and you go longer, but what the town did on an article on the town meeting, you might remember, it was after, I think in the 90s we did that, we voted to maintain election hours for all elections, 8 to 7.
Yeah. Well,
Unfortunately, I don't disagree with one like this, but there again, working people,
right,
you get that early morning rush, you get that late afternoon rush,
yeah. Okay.
and lastly, I mentioned them, and you may be already on top of this, but town meeting, it being a bifurcated meeting, the selectmen, did you determine if that has to be done by a certain date, the date to announce the time and place for the second? Town meeting day by statute is March 11th. But by law, we did at the town vote to authorize the selectmen to separate the meeting. The voting portion of town meeting is held 8 to 7 on the 11th. That can't change. The business portion of the meeting, time and place as designated by the selectmen, but I believe that has to be set by a certain date, which I mentioned the other day. I didn't get a chance to check it.
What do we usually do?
Well, the last couple of years, or the last few years, it's been the Thursday evening.
Right.
I know we did a bunch of straw polls over the years. Is a daytime meeting better or a nighttime? And it's, boy, years it was 50-50 and years it was 60-40. But overall, from a standpoint, from the moderator standpoint, and anyone that's been involved in counting votes, it's very difficult. It makes for an extremely long day when you have a day meeting at the same time as the day elections with what's going on today. And I think the last few years, personally, the Tuesday day voting, the Thursday night business has been pretty successful from my standpoint.
Sounds good to me.
But you have to determine that, and I believe there is a deadline for you to make that announcement,
Okay.
which I'm sure
It's on the wall in there.
it's on the wall. I like that, yeah. I got it in my calendar.
Yeah, it's on the wall.
I have it on the closet to dig
Deadline
that
for you
calendar.
around there.
That was on my list, as long as unless you have any questions of me or.
The only thing I think we got to decide is when we're going to cover the election itself. Usually we divide it up into thirds.
Okay.
With all this being there, at the ballot counting, right?
And I would remind you that after the polls close, that's when we have to count votes.
Right.
It should be really.
So all three of us should be there for that.
Well, by constitution and by statute, you're supposed to be, but you know what I'm saying, you gotta do what you gotta do like all of us. You volunteer your time, so to speak, so.
I like to do the morning if you don't mind.
That's fine. I can
Sure.
do
What time do you
afternoon,
start, 7?
evening, whatever.
Well, you need, the setup, guys will
7
get there at 7 o'clock, and I'm sure that, I'm assuming someone will be in touch with the school and make sure we're good.
Yeah, we are good.
Okay, and George will be around to help open the
Yeah.
door. He's usually there quarter, I've always gone there by quarter 10 to
It's
7.
like
Jay and the crew have always been there, right? Sometimes they get in the afternoon before they go home.
Gets prepped.
Well, but we don't need a lot of chairs. Now, the March one is, that's a
Big one,
different
right.
story. But this one, all we need to do, I mean, a half hour in the morning can set the thing up.
All right, I'll start at 7 and
Meet George, meet Jay and the crew, and I'm sure Karen,
Yep, I'll be
she
there.
and her predecessor have always been right there, because it's the 90% of all the posting in the building and all of that sort of thing is all the clerk's responsibilities.
check your calendar there. Can you do 11 to 4? Because you're working, right?
And
Whatever,
while you
no,
guys-
I have no preference. I'll probably take the whole day off.
While you guys have your calendars out,
Let me get my,
Tuesday, February 11th, I'd like to set up the hearing for the warrant articles. We have to do that 30 days prior to the meeting, and if we can do it February 11th, then that means that I still can get the book to the printers early this year, and because that would be 30 days
I'd
exactly.
prefer it
okay, we go.
the end of the day.
The end of the day?
What time is that? Tell me.
4 to 8.
That's fine.
So you want to do
Polls close at
11 to
7.
4?
Hopefully by 7:15 we'll be counting votes, and it shouldn't take a long time to count. This is, I said, we've got 4 candidates right now, and it's one ballot. You
One
know,
shot.
It's one,
Overdone.
it's not like 30 names and 30 positions, and we should be able to count pretty quickly.
Bill,
Right.
did you check February 11th on your calendar?
February 11th.
February 11th.
That's the hearing for the warrant articles that you guys vote on
At least we changed.
Yeah, that's too,
At-
isn't it too?
at 3 PM.
February 11th.
3?
3, yeah. Does that work for you?
What time do you want it?
3?
Yeah. 2:11 at 3 PM here.
Yep.
So any other questions on the election stuff that you can call me, send me a note, whatever, and I'll also check in with Jay. I'm gonna talk to Tim ahead of time too, and I'll make sure that everything's good on that end, on my
And
end.
we'll have Jeanette there as well. Linda gonna be able to make it, or
I will find out if she's gonna be in town.
just to, so you can get, listen to you too.
Yeah, she said, you've actually been, the last couple of years,
I got well endowed.
she, as far as posting all the, because everything goes to her,
Right.
I mean,
No, the first year I was here, we had 4, 5 elections. I
Yeah.
think. I learned very quickly.
I almost comment when you're talking about our hours, and I mean, when it's a state and/or federal primary election, believe me, for the moderator and the clerk's office, that makes for a very long day,
Oh,
because
yeah.
especially the clerk's office, after the polls are counted, after the votes are counted,
Right.
they've got hours of work to do, so it's, and as you said, we have, what, four elections this year?
Yep.
Maybe somebody has 4 elections. I haven't decided. And even if
Don't
I
say
decide
that.
I haven't, I'm not elected yet.
All right, very good.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming in, Bill.
Appreciate it.
Anybody call if you need it, thanks for your help.
The highway department overtime, we're gonna push back till next week. It wasn't on here, but.
Okay.
And then, the Valley Vision MOU that was signed, does that mean we need to have things start at this point, submitting things?
We're waiting to be notified when that ends up being signed by the Conway
I
Selectmen.
thought
They have to sign it.
okay, so
Yeah.
I got something else that was signed, I was thinking of that, okay.
Yeah. I haven't gotten anything yet,
Okay.
so.
All right. Any other new business?
You know Fritz is here, right?
Hmm?
Or Wentworth?
Yeah. I don't know what the topic call is, do I come up there?
Sure, come on up and have a seat with us.
It's a building inspector related.
How are you?
Good, I'm doing good, thank you. My
Bill
name is
Washington.
Fritz. Nice to meet you.
We've played golf many times, Fritz.
Fritz somewhere.
Nice to meet you, thank you. I guess we started the construction on November 4th with the demolition and they're working on foundation now. And we just recently closed on the construction loan, but they want to release any funds unless I have the building permit. I guess having done a little research on what the status is, I guess my contractor didn't submit it until December 20th.
This is for the septic or
No,
Building
for
permit.
for the building permit?
construction.
Oh,
So I know they have a demolition permit from Andy, and I know that they had a foundation permit from someone. And I know that they submitted some stamped plan on December 20th. And I know that you have a month's up to determine whether you're going to issue the building permit or not. And so I was just wondering what the status was, and I heard that, maybe this has something to do with some turnover in the building inspector's position. I really don't know about what's happening, but what I do know is we did close on a construction loan, and we started, the work on November 4th, and so the bills are coming due, and the bank won't release the funds if I can't show them a building permit. So I was just wondering, what could be done about that. And my other question was Andy Chalmers' situation. I don't know what it is, but I think he put extensive work into this project because it's quite complex. And so I don't know what his status is, but the contractors asked me if at all possible, if I could put a good word in for him, if he could finish that process, because it's quite a learning curve to that
Yes.
for all of us. And so the contractor's a little bit concerned about, in the middle of the construction to bring in the new guy. That's all I wanted to bring up. And if you can give me an update on the status, if there's anything we can do to expedite the signing of the building permit, that would help us.
Have you tried contacting Andy?
Oh, yeah.
And did you reach him unsuccessfully?
Unsuccessfully.
Phone or email?
No, email, calls. I even have my lawyer, who's good. Dave Hastings is a good friend of his, and they've been in contact. And he finally sent a message back indicating that he would be willing to continue the project, but he doesn't know what the status of his employment is, or whether he's going to continue to be working for the town or whatever. So it's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah. Well, the status is he submitted a letter of resignation on January 2nd.
I think that's what he.
So the letter of resignation came like 7 days ago.
Yeah.
And we're trying right now to get wrapped around, we've got about 5 or 6 building permits active. And we're trying to get wrapped around what his interest is in being involved with any of this. And he's been busy, and I think he's out in York Beach tonight and wasn't able to be here. And so his letter of resignation submission is the beginning of a transition. And yet, at the same time, we're not allowed, nor do we intend to ever conduct town business outside of posted public meetings. And so we haven't even had a chance to digest the letter of resignation, because this is the first meeting we've had since then.
Right.
But at the same point, at the same time, you're not alone. You're not alone, and you're also not dependent on an individual. I mean, this is a town process, and so we want to make sure that we honor that 30-day commitment. And as you say, if we can expedite it along, I mean, we're going to be talking about short-term needs that are important to be met, and we're also going to be talking intermediate range needs and long-range needs. And so we have a number of different projects that have some short-term, short-range needs here, and yours is clearly one of them.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a fluid situation, and you do
Right.
your best. So.
Yeah.
There is I spoke to Goody. Do you read?
Yeah.
You met
Yeah,
Goody?
yeah.
Okay. So he was in our office today, and there's an email from Goody basically saying that he would be willing to take over the existing building permits and see those through. He said, he was specifically talking about the Wentworth, and he did say that, he just needs to get a hold of the plans that Andy has, and that he would be happy to step in and oversee the rest of the process.
Great. He's there every Thursday, so.
He's here every Thursday.
So, no, be good to
So
work with him
if-
or
depending on
with
how
whoever
he's
he
there.
designates.
Well, I think our hope is that it's somebody that's familiar with Jackson and familiar with the project in a perfect
Right.
world. And so we know that the plans exist. They're currently in Andy's hands, and we need to pin down just what the best way forward here is, and get somebody working with you in short order. I regret to hear you've made several attempts to contact, and some have not
Yeah.
been successful.
Yeah, but he responded better to Dave Hastings than to me.
Yeah, most people respond to lawyers much better than they respond to private
Well, they were
individuals.
both friends already.
Right.
They're just good friends.
Right.
Right.
Right, so,
Not who you know. Or I guess it is.
Good, so we'll see what happens.
All right.
But,
Well-
Goody would work, and Danny would work. We'll work.
And maybe where that ultimately ends up, though, maybe.
right. So we'll, it's been less than an hour meeting right now, but by the time we get through that building inspector contract line item or agenda item, we may be here 3-4 hours for all we know total, so.
Well, I wish I
But
could join you.
Don't say that. I got another meeting after this.
Yeah, we do intend to get a good plan of how we're gonna move forward here, worked out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your service.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Alrighty.
He doesn't want to stay.
I'm gonna talk to the weatherman, see if he can cooperate with you more.
Okay. Yeah. Give them also a little sunshine.
John, also, I did speak to MRI.
I'm sorry?
I spoke to MRI.
Oh, yes, that was another thing, yep.
And basically, they do have certified building inspectors available. It's $57.50 per hour plus mileage.
$57.50.
$57.50 per hour, and he said usually towns typically, put that cost onto whoever is requesting the work being done.
And that'll be part of their fees.
Right, exactly, and they just need about 48 hours notice. And the guy that they have for us would be coming out of Ossipee. He did say if it's just, and that's for inspections, but if it's just, reviewing permits that they come in, we can do that by email, he said. So,
Right.
That was actually Andy's suggestion.
and he did
Right.
say, that, some towns use them indefinitely on a
Per diem.
per diem basis, and otherwise, the process where if we're going to get people that are interested to submit letters of interest and resumes and stuff, that's a fine transition to just do that way. They said they could help with it if we wanted. Otherwise, we can just do our normal process of reviewing and go in that direction.
That's good news.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're a perfect filler for the interim.
Maybe that might be an avenue to take for any new applications coming in, since Goody could possibly handle the ones that we have present.
Yeah, that's all he was kind of volunteering for, was the ones that are,
They're coming in.
the 5
That are currently on.
that are still on.
The
there.
current.
It's
Goody, you mean,
5.
you're talking about Goody?
Good.
Yes, okay, not MRI.
No,
MRI would be used for the future.
New ones, yeah.
Goody would be used for the present
yeah.
as a possible plan. Alrighty, anything else on that? All right, I guess we got the old business, will be the building inspector contract.
So are we gonna, is that our plan moving forward then?
I don't know, I really hadn't
How do
finished
we-
that discussion, but
How do you want to finish it? You want to finish it later in the meeting or another day?
we really have to kind of do it today.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Was this whether to put Goody in to follow up? Is that what your question is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for Andy, so I don't know, what his feeling
Right.
is on going forward.
Will
Unfortunately.
you resign effective immediately?
Yep, I got his letter right here, I'll read it in a
Did he
minute.
give you any lead time?
But, he had a paragraph in here regarding that, but like I said, it's been hard to get a hold of him. That's been kind of the issue.
And we've actually been getting several calls in, someone's been trying to reach him since Thanksgiving that's got a pending permit, and they're not getting any response.
Right. So does that seem like a reasonable plan to put Goody in, go to the bullpen?
Well, I think given the situation, yeah, if, clearly we've got people trying to contact the building inspector in town and not being successful at doing so. And if he's stepped up, I mean, by all accounts, he's got the experience of doing this stuff. It might make sense, make the most sense for a clean transition and seamless transition to put him in place to deal with some of this stuff, everything that's current right now. And maybe get, if there's any clarification we need from MRI, obviously they're only gonna need to come up, send their representative up from Ossipee if there's an actual inspection that needs to occur.
And they did say that they can give us an idea of what the cost would be when the building permit comes in. They would say ahead of time, well, we're gonna need 4 inspections to complete this, and then so people would be aware of what
Mhm.
the cost would be.
Well,
One thing that worries me a little bit about that is if somebody says there's gonna be 4 inspections and it turns out to be 6, you know, who's gonna eat that extra dollarage? You know, I mean, there should be some kind of clause in there that says, yeah, it's gonna cost you this if all your inspections are ready to go and you don't have any callbacks. But any callback is gonna be X number of dollars per hour,
Right.
Right.
you know?
right.
'Cause I don't want to be left holding the bag on that.
Okay. Now, what about, I guess I didn't address with them, sometimes people will call just to ask any questions, you know, not necessarily submitting a permit or having an inspection, but just general building questions. I guess I need to ask if MRI will be a resource for that, or someone.
And I don't want anybody,
I mean, maybe that's, I guess MRI would probably be a really short-term thing, and if you are gonna move ahead with the contract with building inspector to get that posted and get resumes in, you know, just use them as a very short-term.
I hate to call them up at $60 an hour for every little question they got.
Right.
So can we use Goody for that, just to get through this thing?
I would say Goody would be the person to go to, and if you can't get an answer, maybe that would be the backup plan.
Yeah.
I would imagine we're just gonna have to do that.
If he would make himself available on Thursdays to address questions that are
He also said
posed
you
in writing or whatever.
on email correspondence
okay.
other days throughout the week, so.
All right, that's good.
Depending on his schedule.
Mhm. Not just interim, but I mean,
Right.
maybe more of a medium range solution for that. That would be good.
Oh, the other thing that was mentioned when we were talking to Goody was, he said in Berlin, they always required the building inspector and the fire inspector to sign off on all building permits. And there had been some question in our conversations about, you know, the building inspector having a great deal of authority, but this would kind of be a check and balance where the fire inspector also has to sign off on all building permits, which might not be a bad way to go. Depending on what you guys think.
Well, it's been expressed here several times that there's a lot of authority that's being granted to this position, and so I like hearing the whole checks and balances concept. That's for sure.
2 eyes on something is always better than 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know what the process, but we could change that on our building permits immediately if you guys want us to, where it requires building inspector and fire inspector to sign off on any permits going forward as of today.
Is there a rush?
I guess.
Right now, or as of tomorrow, if we're all in agreement, our fire inspector is our building inspector
Right.
for the current ones. So,
I wouldn't mind having Goody look at the new ones too, as a fire inspector though.
there's some logic to that, isn't there? Yeah. How do you feel about it, Phil?
I'm okay, I think the fire inspector view is fine.
Yeah.
I think it adds another level of just,
Oversight and,
Yeah.
What is Goody charging us? Is he gonna just do his regular hourly wage?
Right now, he's gonna just do his hourly wage, but if it becomes something that's more time consuming, then, you know, what we expect, it'll have to be addressed
Mhm.
later.
at this point, we assume it to be Thursday when the day's here, and then maybe some emails, and we're still looking at the 5 pieces. And then determine from there, if he says, look, I'm working crazy stuff, we'll have to address it.
But he did say that he would be willing to be the second signature to, he said that it's better for the fire department to view these new buildings beforehand. He said a lot of times they go in and see buildings after the fact and said, oh, you didn't do this right, you didn't do
Yeah.
that right.
Right.
where this gives them a,
Mhm.
a shot at it to make comments where it's built.
Be interesting to have somebody meet with Mr. Gaudreau and get a feel for the process that's already in place that he's talking about, turning around and crafting it. So is the fire inspector, obviously he's part of every inspection all along the way, so that's going to,
He might not be involved in the foundation, he might not be.
right, he may not, it may just be a couple of key inspections
Right,
along, like
electrical.
what is his sense? When does he need to be pulled in? If there are 4 different inspections, does he need to be signing off on all 4 of those, or is it just 2 of those critical inspections? Or I'd love to get some more,
Input on that.
input and it's just more specificity. He seems like he knows what would work best. Obviously, we don't meet on. I don't know if he's typically here this late in the day.
I think he leaves at either 4 or 4:30.
Yeah.
He's pretty much punctually at 5, I think.
Have you been working with him on anything?
Only, not
Through
working
Jay,
with
or-
him specifically with Jay, we meet, I've
Yeah.
met with Goody
Yeah.
several times on stuff with Jay,
Yeah.
but not him specifically on his
Mhm.
inspections,
Mhm.
no.
Would it be possible for you to take a flyby sometime?
Sure, I mean, I
Pick
want,
his
unless you want me to find him, he won't be here till Thursday.
That's
Right,
fine.
I think that's-
don't have a press.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd be great to know one of us was able to kind of sit, make an appointment with him and pick his brain.
I will gladly do that.
That'd be great.
Unless you want me to call him out of his house, I'll wait till Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't think there's
Okay.
any urgency to that, but I just do want to make it clear what happened this week, and that was with Dee Dee Warren and John Bruni's permit, and they had contacted the office, they had country cabinets ready to go and install their kitchen cabinets today, and they've been trying to contact our building inspector since before Christmas, and they were very nervous because they had gotten no callbacks and no acknowledgement of voicemails left, and they felt like they were doing due diligence to the process and doing the right thing and getting nowhere, and they had some angst when they contacted the town office. So being the liaison to the town office, I was appraised of this. I contacted Dee Dee and John, and they were just nervous. They didn't know whether to have him go ahead and install. They really hadn't been signed off to go that extra route, and I basically said, I'll take the heat from John and Bill, but go ahead and continue with your project. Even though we can't get a hold of the building inspector and he's not responding, you've had this thing scheduled to happen on January 9th since before Christmas, and so it needs to go ahead and happen. And so I've copied you with the emails. I said, keep this email for your records. I'm telling you to move ahead with this. So.
Is it problematic, you say talk to Goody, is there some way I could, maybe if he's basically interested, is to say we want him to go ahead and look at these 5 pieces?
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And so so that was one of a number of inspections that take place, and so there's things that won't be able to be thoroughly inspected
Right, okay.
tomorrow because there wasn't an inspection before the cabinet installation, but I think that, and Goody, I know, has in the past, he was involved with the Holly Lewis thing at one point, and gone in and been clear about what he could see and what he could attest to. So, yeah, I don't think we've lost that much integrity in the process by missing one inspection, but.
I will talk to him Thursday and try to get the thing worked out to where he can do the 5 that we're talking about.
So I guess we do need to make a motion to officially hire him as a building inspector
For these 5 projects, right?
for these 5 interim projects that are on the books right now.
Well, I'll make that motion then that we use Bob Gaudreau, who's currently our fire inspector, to act as building inspector in this interim period for the 5 permits that are current.
And Could I ask in that, could we also, do we want to use him as some kind of consultant? Because Julie's hanging out, people are coming in here. Can we ask him if he would be available by email to answer questions also?
Yeah, I think we should ask him that as well. I don't know if that should go in the motion, or that should just be
It'd be
something
part of
that we
his
reach
job,
out to, and, yeah,
Okay,
so.
I second the motion.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Right?
Aye.
So now, do one of the three of you need to, be the one to get files and paperwork back from Andy so that Goody can get those plans from Wentworth and move forward?
Ideally, I'd like to see Andy return the plans, since he has them, but
But is one of the three of you going to communicate that to him?
I'll email him tonight. He did acknowledge one of my emails earlier this week, so I'll email him and CC everybody under the sun,
Okay.
and it'll be on record.
And I guess the second motion would be, do we want to hire MRI as our new building inspector until such time that we take applications and hire such a
Contract with MRI.
contract with a new one?
Well, I think that that makes a lot of sense. Now, Bob Gaudreau has kind of made it clear he's not looking to take this on,
No.
Correct.
and so it really is our only option. Obviously, they contract out for services like this, so it makes a lot of sense to have that kind of coverage. Takes the heat off of us as
And they
far
are
as
certified, he said, so that's.
we can go through a
We need a process to move on.
posting, hiring process and not feel a lot of pressure. So I'll make the motion that we contract with MRI to provide building inspection services for any new building permits that the town office receives until we have a permanent hire in place.
Second motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
And add to that, if you could, kind of pick their brain about, what they think of, in terms of making sure that we're doing this legitimately, nothing's out of whack in terms of hiring a new building inspector and what process they've seen.
He said that they could help, or he said, going through the normal hiring process, posting, getting the resumes, that was a fine way to go.
So we're gonna have to post Andy's job then.
Right.
Okay, so consider
But
it.
are we not doing that until you guys decide on the description, I guess, or?
I think we need to post it,
So just-
get the wheels turning.
Okay.
You agree?
Yeah.
You know,
Move.
because we're gonna use MRI as only as a temporary last minute thing, and we need to get the system,
Can I have a vote on the MRI?
Sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
I thought you meant you wanted to vote also.
You can't vote, Mark.
Sorry.
They're deadlocked.
I'll be
2 and
moving
2.
here.
All righty, and then we'll post for Andy's job, and good news on that is we get to start anew.
Right.
Just for the record, we did receive Andy's resignation letter here, dated January 2nd. I'll read it, but I'll give you a copy there, Mark, all right? Says, I have decided to resign from my positions as building inspector and deputy health inspector for the town of Jackson. I guess I have to post for that, too. The continued efforts of a minority faction within the town to turn the building inspections and the position of the building inspector once again into a political issue is unacceptable. You will recall that I have weathered 5 fractious years of the building code storm in Jackson. During this time, I have greatly appreciated the support of the majority of the town, as each year the good people of Jackson have stepped up and overwhelmingly shown their support for me and the continuation of the local code enforcement. I wish you, the Board of Selectmen, had been able to exercise your duty to assign, appoint the position of building inspector. The appearance of the indecisiveness of this matter has led to this insignificant faction to believe that once again this is a political position. It is no longer a battle which I wish to continue to participate in. I'm grateful for the majority of the taxpayers, the builders, and the mechanics who have been fantastic in the support of me as a local enforcement officer. All right, that being said, moving on, we have as old business here, the building inspector contract, which is a memorandum of understanding between the town of Jackson and any future contracted building inspector. And this was basically, we had started this earlier and included the job description in with this memorandum. The essential duties, similar to what we've used before as the town, as any town employee, basically.
Can I just say one thing
Sure
at
can.
this point, is that there was some discussion between Julie and I since the last meeting on just how this should look. And I mean, we've got the LGC generic job description, we've got the state building code books that we've kind of looked at and wanted to match up. And the missing piece for that was that the planning board wrote a building code ordinance. And so what we did was looked at that planning board created building code ordinance that the voters voted to support to inform what the essential duties should be. So the first part of it looks a little different than the last draft we did, because that's all cut and paste right out of the ordinance. We felt like, well, this makes the most sense. This is what the voters voted on.
Right.
And so that's why, if you notice that it looks a little different, that's why.
And I did talk to Peter Malia today, and I just basically said, I asked him if he had reviewed the building code, because I know that, I sent this to you guys. It was the letter from the state saying that they don't review the building codes.
Right.
So anyway, so they said you can talk to your legal counsel. So I asked Peter today, I said, can you confirm that you did in fact review this? And so he's going to check on that. And I said, that if you didn't, then we would like to have you review it. So he's going to let me know.
Any other comments on that?
Not on that, no.
The only thing Julie and I did talk a little bit about the billing process and how the invoices that we got from our former building inspector did not match up with the income we generated from charging fees. And legally, we're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be a wash for all practical purposes, from what I understand. We're not here to make money on that. And there is quite a disparity between those two numbers, and I want to make sure whatever we do and whoever we hire, that we want to make sure that the checks and balances are much more clear.
And that we get invoiced once a month.
And we get invoices, with what was done and when it was done, and, who it's billed to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I do find it very uncomfortable to, have people pay thousands of dollars and not get those services that they were expected to pay for, and not get reimbursed for any of those that weren't used. And like I said, it may be time for new blood. Anything else on the memorandum? Or maybe there's something in there we
No.
might want to add to that
Yeah.
regarding that.
So at this point, are you guys going to read through that, give your thoughts maybe next week, or if you want to change it, I'll do that one change for the building inspector invoicing and.
That's fine, yeah, we can have a couple readings. Obviously, we're not signing it because we don't have one.
Right, so it's no big rush.
Right.
Well, we don't need it to post, but we're going to want to have something that we've approved by the time we get into interview
Hand
hiring
it to
process.
somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that would be probably one of the first questions that somebody who has,
When they
Considered a
apply for a
letter
job,
of
they're gonna
interest.
say, can you send me the description?
Right.
right.
And that we can do.
So, how do we proceed with this document?
Oh, she was gonna make some,
I'll make,
Additions.
what I'll do is I'll make the additions to that MOU, and then I'll send it out and print it off for you guys to review. And then I guess next week, if you guys want to, well, in the interim, if you could give me any edits or corrections you want, and then we can kind of have a final draft for approval next meeting.
I think that's a.
gives us another chance to review it.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be an important timeline for us to have something
done.
that we've been able to approve and sign off on by next meeting. I'm really supportive of that effort, whatever it takes for us to meet that deadline.
Any other discussion on that?
I have
All right.
none.
And I guess it's, lastly, public comments. Any public comments from the public?
I have a public comment from the public, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
This is to John Allen. It is regret that I submit my resignation to the town of Jackson. I find I'm no longer able to continue in the full duties of the job. The resignation is submitted for personal reasons. I will continue in my capacity until the annual meeting, at which time the election process will have filled the position. I've appreciated the opportunity to volunteer for public service and will continue to work with the supportive board of selectmen of the town of Jackson. So the election process should fill it by March.
Oh, that's a bummer. Shocker.
Is that for me?
Say I'm disappointed is a mild understatement. I've enjoyed working with you and having your insight. Very important to me. Certainly be missed. Thank you.
You're just gonna use that new cut thing all the way.
I know. It's
You spend the whole year going through that learning curve, and you don't get to enjoy the fruits of it. Well, I am shocked, but I understand that we all have personal lives, and I think that the town is going to miss your service in this role.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't make my duty. Bill?
Andy's letter did not state a date of his official resignation. Wouldn't I would think that ethically speaking, the guy just shouldn't slam the door in your face. He should give you some lead time, and perhaps he owes something to the town that he should be willing to serve out the process through these 5 applications and just not, I mean, it's not a good way to end the story by just slamming the door in your face. And he didn't put in there an official date, so I think that needs to be addressed.
He did not put in there a date of resignation. And he was pressed for one, and he wouldn't provide one. And we tried hard from our end to see if we could get him to commit to seeing through the existing
Open.
applications, and we were unsuccessful at getting him to commit to do that. And so nothing lasts forever, and I certainly do hear what you're saying, you know, and you would hope that those kind of things could be worked out, but they weren't able to be worked out.
We did make an attempt to do that.
Every attempt, every attempt.
That doesn't speak well for him going forward.
Well,
You shouldn't burn bridges, and that's what he's doing.
Any other public
Yeah,
comments?
is your resignation effective when?
At the town meeting when they elect somebody else and they're sworn in.
Right. So you finished 1 year?
Yes.
I see.
we need to What is the period for filing to run for office?
Well,
It's the
actually, I
third
called-
week?
Well, I called today, and I have to call back tomorrow morning at 8 to speak to the person that has that answer for me.
I believe it's the third week of January is the filing period. It's coming up. And so,
Someone at DRA, which she didn't know 100%, but someone had said to her the 21st of January was the deadline, but I can't confirm that until I talk to the guy tomorrow.
well,
Get that open.
what we'll need to do is make sure that we've got our ducks in a row so that there will be a 3-year position available, and then there will be a 2-year position available is how that will work. So that we've still got these staggered terms.
Also Karen's, too.
Pardon
And
me?
Karen's as well.
Right, I just,
Yeah.
just totally thinking about the selectmen
Right.
here. I filled in for the remainder of a school board member's term is how I got onto the school board, and so he waited until after the meeting. So I was appointed in about June, that was Bruce Hill, and then my appointment was to serve out until the election, so I served from June to March, and then was elected to fill the remainder of the term. So there's protocol. And so just thinking on the fly here, I wasn't prepared for this, but I'm pretty sure how that needs to look. So that'll be a project for you.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Frank, anything?
Too glad you stayed.
All right, going to take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No,
Could I have your name for the record? I don't
Diana
know who you
Cataldo.
are, I'm sorry. Yes,
Diana?
for the record.
you have to have, you're here, your attendance is taken. Cataldo. Cataldo.